All right, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. I'm glad that you guys can join us tonight. We are finally starting to get back a little bit to normal here. Mari has put all the links back onto the website, like how we were doing it before we moved our headquarters, so to speak. So now the way we did it before was that we have basically we're putting the links into the description, but not in a form that we're used to, where you usually watch a YouTube video. You've got links to the articles and it's in the YouTube description box. But we decided to make people come on over to our website, thegrandsolarminimum.com. So, and why is that? The website's still in the making. We have a vision with what we want out of this website. Sorry about that. My microphone's kind of messing up. I'm just adjusting the volumes here. Okay, here we go. So what I was saying is that we're still rebuilding the website. Mari has started the foundation of the Grand Solar Minimum and the education of it. One of my favorite parts is the login session. If you don't have a membership, it's free. Don't worry. You register here. I'll go ahead and get out the handy dandy arrow. Register at this, click on that link, follow a couple instructions, and boom, you're a part of the website. Now you can use our website like a social media platform such as Facebook or Twitter. We already have a few members in place. Do we use it regularly? Unfortunately, no. We're still trying to get that lifted off the ground, but I thought I'd start talking about it a lot more since we're kind of getting back to normal. And I just want folks to know that there's resources they can use on this website as well. The glossary, Mari is still working this out, but to me, this is brilliant stuff. And we're bringing on a guy, Scott Chapman, on Saturday, and we're going to go through his presentation. He has a website, and he is also putting together the basically timeline, the how-to of Grand Solar Minimum, what to do. But Mari has started that as well. Work in progress, layers of the Earth's atmosphere, the sun's atmosphere, exosphere, red light, H alpha, ionosphere. So the glossary, as you see, has a lot of blanks, but there are also a lot of things that have already been added. Let's go basic here. Sunspots, what are they? And there's the link. Oh, you gotta wait for the website. Sorry about that, guys. So I click on it, and this is what Mari puts for it. Actually, this is the work of the Starman. And again, we have people that are outside this channel that work for us, that help us out. And when I say work, it may be just describing something for us in an email or writing up articles like this. This is by the TSM Solar Observations, formerly known as Starman, but gives us a brief description of sunspots, what they are. Basic 101 stuff. So a lot of you that are new, this website is just the beginning. It doesn't have everything finished, but there is enough that Mari has put in place that will help you understand what some of these terminologies and things like that are when you hear us talking in our broadcast. Space weather, space stuff, global weather. A lot of these parts of the website we haven't been good at keeping up with current events. But like I said, we've relocated. We're starting to settle back in. Tonight, Mario, we're going to start using our website once again. Here we go. Crops report, a bunch of links to other things we can look at. Volcanoes and earthquakes. We have tons of links to check out what's happening on that side. And then, of course, the register, log in if you're already a member. And, I would log in, but I don't know if it's my profile or not. So let's not even bother right now. But anyway, I will do a future show where I will show you guys, I'll already be logged in, and I'll show you guys how to post and make messages and all that. It's just like Facebook. It literally is just like Facebook, except it's on the grandsolarminimum.com. All right, so let's go back home. Live show section here and get on with the show, shall we? I've babbled on, just kind of excited. I feel like I'm at home now whenever we get to do things the way we used to do it. And I really appreciate having the website, the platform that we have here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start with some space weather. Our solar wind speeds are sitting at 481.8 kilometers per second with a density of 6.8. Let's go over to spaceweather.com real quick, and we haven't seen storm conditions. We did get as high as a 4, as far as KP indice of 4, but really the only thing that we were expecting with today's incoming solar wind was just the solar wind reaching around the 500 kilometers per second, and I had seen reports earlier of those readings as well. All right, let's go to the space weather section of grandsolarminimum.com. There you see the KP indices staying right around 3. And briefly, early May 2nd, we saw KP indices reach the 4 category, but never quite pushed the threshold of a G1 storm. Now, the sun is blank once again. That's now 71 days in 2019. We're at 60% of 2019 without sunspots. 2018 ended with 61%. So just wanted to kind of point that out. And I say this because, well, here's a look at the SDO in motion. We see a very small coronal hole forming just to, well, actually right at the equatorial region. Nothing really to be worried about. These aren't the kind of coronal holes that cause G1 storms. This might be just a little ping on the magnetic field, and that's about it. Now, we do look out here to the farther part of the sun here in the eastern limb. And I want to point out this right here. Now, the last broadcast I did, this was a little more impressive on the backside around the negative 180 mark of that active region. And now we look at it here. There it is, getting ready to come around. That region has definitely, as far as output goes, that is a lot lower than what we were seeing the last time we were live, which was just a few days ago. So I don't even know if this will even be a sunspot coming around. This has made it around, I think, 3 times as a really decent-sized sunspot. So I know you guys think that this part right here looks impressive, but trust me, this was much, much more intense just a few days ago. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that, as we've already had, I think right now, we're 11 days straight without a sunspot. And I misspoke, we're at 73 days without a sunspot for 2019. So we'll keep a look, we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens if that region becomes another sunspot or not. We'll see. Taking a look at our TSI, total solar radiance. And remember, folks, the TSI is the output of what the sun is basically. This is the output of the sun. Right now we're sitting at 1360.62. We saw the dip a few days ago, back on April 13th. Pardon me. And we saw a reading of 1360.29. So we dipped a little bit down further than we probably had seen in quite some time. But TSM Solar Observations, actually that night spoke with me, and I mean, he was already on the ball like usually, and TSI did recover back into the 1360.6 values like he expected as well. So, all right, so let's get into the world news of the Grand Solar Minimum, and we'll start with the watchers. As always, they have a lot of headlines, but here they want to talk about several locations broke or tied their record for the most number of days in a month with measurable precipitation. A few places set records for most days in any month. Boston, Bridgeport, Concord, Hartford, Islip, Manchester are just some of them. Here we go. Boston, Massachusetts had at least 0.01 accumulation for 21 days. The old record was 19, set back in 1912. Let's see what the oldest one. Right now, that might be the oldest record that was broke. Boston, Massachusetts. I also want to point out, too, I heard a lot of people talking about the snow in Boston, but Bridgeport, Connecticut had 19 days, broke its record. Now, by the way, that was only a 2-day record it broke. But here in Bridgeport, they smashed it by 3. And I say smashed because these are not big records that are blown away here. So 3 days is quite significant. In 1878, a record of 17 was set in Concord. That was broke as of April. And that was 21 days of measurable precipitation on the ground. Manchester, New Hampshire, 17 days in 1936 was the record. They beat it by 1 with 18. You guys can continue to read on for yourselves. Just some, and just living out here myself in the Northeast, here upstate New York, there has been quite a bit of moisture, I would say, that flows through here in the Northeast. Think about it. We get the tail end of all the major winter storms that came across the nation. The way the jet stream is, everything kind of rides right up into the Northeast and into Nova Scotia. So we've seen our share of precipitation when it comes to snow and rain this year already. But reading on here, oh, that's it. That was the end. I like how Watchers.news kind of tricks you into other headlines that could be a part of what you want to talk about, but it's not. So just a quick mention here on the Watchers to tell us some more records were broke, and it's precipitation. And I know I sound like a broken record, but you know what I'm going to say. Why all this precipitation? Well, true, there's water vapor, but without particles, you don't have raindrops. And with cosmic rays seeding our atmosphere, basically energizing supercharged and regular particles, and that's why we're seeing these gigantic totals of rainfalls in 24 hours in parts of the world, which I'm sure we'll get to here just in a quick hot second here. Let's talk about the central U.S. United States here. Nothing funny about this, though. 33 tornadoes reported as violent storms swept across central U.S. Severe weather continues. Several damaging tornadoes were reported across the region, as well as heavy rain. A week's worth just in several hours in Oklahoma. That's not surprising. We were just talking about that. There we go. So right off the bat, we get into the show, and we're already talking about several inches of rain in just a short period of time. A slow-moving and elongated front from Texas to the Ohio Valley will continue to produce areas of severe thunderstorms, damaging winds, and large hail. Heavy to excessive rainfall, possible flooding over the next couple of days, warns the National Weather System. Or the service, I should say. I'm having a great start tonight, guys. Stay tuned. An active pattern of weather is forecast to continue through the end of the week from the southern plains into the Midwest and Ohio Valley along a nearly stationary frontal boundary. Now, I was talking about this the last 2 broadcasts. I mentioned this about Texas around May 3rd. We were going to see some kind of stationary front begin and continue, and there it is right there. That's into the 4th, Saturday. And finally, that system rolls out by the 4th, but then we get more action, and as close as these 2 storms are here between the 7th and the 8th, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just putting this out real quick. It literally feels like that we're going to be getting dumped on here in central Texas for the next 3 to 4 days. So let's continue to read on. Active weather pattern, we already said that. Multiple waves of low pressure are expected to form along this boundary, and these are expected to produce mesoscale convective complexes with enhanced rainfall. Numerous showers and storms are expected to continue regenerating in the vicinity of this front, with the best prospects for heavy rainfall from central Texas, I just said that, to southern Illinois, with amounts in the order of 2 to 4 inches likely for some area. Again, 2 to 4 inches of rain is a month's worth of rain for most people in the United States. At least a month's worth. And this is going to fall in just a day or so. There's a slight risk of excessive rainfall across parts of these areas where the threat of flash flooding is greatest over the next couple of days. Some severe storms will also be possible, with best prospects across Texas, Ohio Valley, based on the latest SPC forecast. The frontal boundary should slowly progress southward on Friday, but heavy rainfall will continue to be a threat across parts of central eastern Texas. And these videos I would show you, but this gentleman here says not for broadcast. So you can check it out in our links. This YouTube from Weather Nation. Here is just a tornado wandering around. This is probably the safest tornado footage we have for the day. And if we're going to make any jokes, it's going to be on this footage and this footage only. One of the areas hit hardest by tornado Tuesday night was in and around the Waterford subdivision in Ozark. Around 100 homes suffered some kind of damage. 24 had more severe damage. But 33 tornadoes. Guys, last year in 2018, we had a record low amount of tornadoes. And we were talking about how we didn't have any I think it was F3 and higher, or F4 and higher of tornadoes last year in 2018. We've already flirted with a couple strong ones already. All right, so let's continue on here. At least 5 killed, 61 injured as severe dust storm sweeps through Iraq. Here we go. Southern provinces of Najaf and Karbala were hit the hardest. At least 4 civilians were killed and 61 others were injured, health ministry spokesman said. The health dictator Najaf said 1 person was killed in the province and 20 others injured due to downed trees and collapsed walls. Let's see what this footage looks like here, guys. I'm getting a chance. You know, when you think dust storm, you know, it's amazing to look at these things from outside of the storm. It just looks like a gigantic wall cloud moving about 2 miles an hour. Insane. So it's not quite as, not really exciting to watch, but it looks like a giant avalanche slowly moving towards you. You know, avalanches are another one that move really slow, but can be very dangerous as well. We'll leave the link on our website as well. This is probably more footage of this, a little bit further out. Terrible sound. Sorry about that. There we go. We don't need that. Again, it just looks like everything is in a plume of smoke, like as if it was on fire. All right. So now we want to talk about a tropical low over the Bahamas, and it is heading towards Florida. Once again, thank you to the Watchers.news. Says here, a trough of low pressure located over the northwestern Bahamas producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. The system is heading towards Florida and threatening the state with locally heavy rains. So another part of the region here, the south, will look at a chance for some heavy rains over the next couple of days. While little development is expected during the next couple of days as the system moves generally northwestward toward the Florida Peninsula, some slow development is possible as disturbance turns northeastward and moves over the western Atlantic, says the National Weather Service Hurricane Center. Regardless of its development, locally heavy rains are possible over portions of the Bahamas and the Florida Peninsula during the next couple of days. Seas are currently reaching about 8 feet northeast of the Bahamas. And here we have the precipitation levels. Again, the south, the deep south, getting more rain from its inland systems than this disturbance here in the Bahamas. But we do see how it just kind of hovers over Florida for a couple of days. So they do get heavy to moderate to heavy amounts of rain in the next several hours here in Florida. So we will be keeping our eyes on that region as well. And this is an accumulation here. It looks like all the way out through this weekend. You know, we're talking the purple amounts here in Texas. That's because we've literally had a weather front just kind of stay stationary in that region. We'll talk more about this as we continue our show. Let's close that. Somebody's live. I guess they're trying to. It's RET week, so there's a lot of jokers out there tonight. All right, so let's give you an update. Unfortunately, now the death toll hits 41 and 169,000 affected as tropical cyclone Kenneth hits Mozambique. Says here, tropical cyclone Kenneth continued to batter parts of Mozambique with heavy rains. The storm made landfall April 25th with maximum sustained winds of 140 miles an hour. That's a Cat 4. The first such cyclone to hit the Providence since records began 60 years ago. Kenneth is the second powerful storm to hit the Southeast Africa in 6 weeks. It made landfall as the country was still struggling with the aftermath of Cyclone Idai, which hit a little further south. Cyclone Kenneth made landfall at the end of a rainy season when rivers levels were already high. So let me repeat that. We are at the end of the rainy season, and we're getting this nasty 1-2 punch. So continuing to monitor that area, according to the National Disaster Management Institute of Mozambique, as of April 29, 38 people were dead and 39 were injured. 20,000 were sheltered in 30 accommodation centers, putting the total around 169,000 people affected by this event. And on May 1st, the death toll did rise another 3 more people to 41 total dead. 34,000, over almost 35,000 buildings are damaged or destroyed. 2,900 are totally destroyed, and 32,000 were partially destroyed. Several areas of Pemba, the capital of northern province of Cabo Delgado, were completely flooded. In the most deprived areas, houses had collapsed and flash floods left mud and debris all over the streets. Children are not at present attending schools, and school buildings are being used as shelters. Many families have lost all of their property, including plantations and livestock. Again, you never know the perspective of loss until you read things like this. These homes are destroyed, mud everywhere, crops have been lost, 169,000 people. I mean, this is not like that, their government's sending over a bunch of dump trucks right now to help clean up this mess. We don't see a team of people with chainsaws and equipment heading out here cleaning this up right away. These people don't have that convenience. This is absolute disaster right here. And now you got to think about people's well-being on top of the fact that crops are now suffering or gone. Livestock are now suffering or gone. And even if they've survived the storm, how long do they stay alive? Are we able to take care of these livestock animals properly in the coming days, as you have to start wondering about supplies for your own people? This water doesn't look to be receding anytime soon. And once it does finally go away, you're talking massive amounts of damage to homes, indoors. Everything's been ruined. So total loss in these areas that have standing water like this. The heavy rains following Cyclone Kenneth, which hit the northern part of the country 5 days ago, have paused around Pemba, and aid workers are working fast as they can to prepare flights to deliver aid. So we don't even have aid there yet. They had 14 days of supply before this storm, and that was over 7 days ago. So we haven't had flights in yet, and our supplies are starting to run down, and that was for 140,000 people. He also said that the pause in rains is just temporary, as aid workers will also do further damage and needs assessments while they can, as more rain is expected in the coming days, turning the response into a start-stop operation. Many families have lost all their property, including plantations. We already said that. Charlie Yaxley from the UN Refugee Agency reported that their team in the area was evaluating the needs of communities in the aftermath of the storm. Nothing that assistance is on its way. So this is even more dire need right now. Nonetheless, people still need shelter, food, water supplies, as well as utensils such as plates, pans, forks, spoons, and knives. Women who are also asking for hygiene kits. He noted the comprehensive help was needed in Pemba as a number of houses are damaged and will need repairing. The World Food Program has reached 11,500 beneficiaries with food assistance since Cyclone Kenneth first hit northern province Cabo Delgado, and continues emergency efforts to reach more people. Just absolutely tragic out here, and some serious issues that we are about to see in this region if we don't get a lot of help out here really fast. Thanks again to Watchers.news for excellent coverage. Not done yet. This story was actually from April. Some of these are a little old. This storm was dated on the 1st of May, but was reported on April 29th. A severe hailstorm struck, here we go, Pokhara, Nepal on Monday, April 29th, 2019. The rampage lasted for a half an hour and damaged the crop worth millions of rupees planted by farmers in the Pokhara metropolitan city. Besides that, golf ball-sized hailstones destroyed vehicles and windshields in a half hour during this downpour. Let's see what kind of footage we got here. Wow. Can't imagine too many windshields survive that. Just more of the rain than the hail. See it battering down, tearing leaves off the trees already, accumulating now, as if it's snowing at some point. Check out more of this on watchers.news. The downpour inflicted heavy damage to crops in Kaskiak. And, yeah. How about Dicker Potpourri, I think? I'm not sure about that city. Sorry, guys. Bahadori, Sarangak, Pumden Humdi, Himja, Mel Patinton, Masbar, Pasang, Cherapatan, Christie, Lamachor, Jahumpus, Dihadal, and among others, many, many other cities that I butchered and will continue to butcher. Again, this was substantial damage to the crops. And just another story, another headline of a region of this planet that's seeing massive hail, lots of it accumulating, flash flooding, crop damage. Nepal jumps into the action and contributes to its unfortunate loss of crops that we have seen across the world now, not just here in the United States, all over the world. All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.